Hi, this is János, it is Real World Audio, and today this is going to be a treat. I haven't made any recent videos on analysis of loudspeakers, but today this is one of them. And this is by popular demand, and I keep on peeking at my notebook screen. Just a preview. This is going to be about Andrew Jones's new speaker, the SourcePoint 10. And I'm doing this because there's a lot of excitement about this loudspeaker, and many of you know about Andrew Jones. He is one of the most talented loudspeaker designers today, who is designing loudspeakers for commercial consumption. So basically, he's a loudspeaker designer. That was a very circumspect way for saying that, but I said it like that because they are the ones who are visible, who are visible to the public, who people know about. There's more loudspeaker designers there than people know. You don't know the names of most of them because cats are playing. Not because the cats are playing, but because most people who design loudspeakers design them for themselves, like myself. So I'm not making anything for commercial consumption. So if I haven't made this YouTube channel, then no one would know about anything that I do because I exclusively do it for my pleasure, and that's it. But as with everything in life, if you are passionate about something, you love something, you really dig deep into it and you research it for 10,000 hours, you are going to get darn good at what your passion is. And those thousands of hours, they do give you ample time to sort out your priorities with it. And so going back to Andrew Jones, he just transitioned over to MoFi Electronics, as I see on the web page, and I think this is his first loudspeaker with this new company. And finally, here he was given the green lights to design a loudspeaker that he really wants to see, that he really loves. And I haven't seen many videos yet about him and reviews, so I'm kind of doing this semi-blind. What I know about this loudspeaker is I have read what's on the website about it, and there is this video, this demo, where Andrew Jones is demoing it. That's his legs there. And I watched this, and it has plenty of sound samples in that showroom. It was one of the shows, I think. I don't know which show was it anyway, but that gives a little idea about how these speakers sound real life. And also there's a white paper that Andrew Jones wrote about it. There it is. I will put these all down the links, so where he shares about what was his ideas, why he did this loudspeaker, and what were his goals, and why he did what he did. And I'd like to go through that, and from my viewpoint, go through his choices that he has done in creating this loudspeaker, and why I think he has done something great, something really, really good, and why I think this might be the beginning, hopefully, the beginning of a big shift in loudspeaker industry. I really hope that this is a snowball that he is starting, that will start an avalanche that will rescue the inbred and dying high-end industry, which has been in the past 20 years going down a slope from my point of view, and that slope has been towards creating loudspeakers which are smaller and smaller, with smaller and smaller drivers, forced to do deeper and deeper bass, with higher and higher current demands, and lower and lower impedance and lower sensitivity. And this has created a very artificial, very fake sound, very showy sound, and and a lot of people like that. And if you hear that for the first time, it's like, wow, this is so much better than what I hear in, from a standard TV set. But if you come from a point that you grew up like playing a violin, or your sister playing the piano, and you hear that every day, then what you are getting from that type of loudspeakering is very far removed from a natural experience. And what Andrew Jones is doing here, he's reversing that trend. So where does he write about it? About the impedance. That's what I'd like to start with. Is that no, does he mention it in the white paper? I'm just scrolling down. Maybe I should show you guys. um, where is it? I know that he mentions somewhere that the impedance of this no, not here in the white paper. Maybe it here. Anyway, I'm not really good at doing this apparently, but I do vaguely recall that he mentioned, maybe it was in the video, maybe what was on the homepage. You will find it, just search through the links, that this is a true 8 ohms driver, and I think it dips to like 6.8 ohms or something like that, and which truly means that it's a true 8 ohm. So when you want to see what is the nominal impedance of the driver, then the way to calculate it is look for the dip, to what it dips. The speaker dips to that dip in at 150 hertz. That I remember. So anyway, look for the dip and divide it by 0.8. And the number you get, that is the nominal impedance of the driver. And when you do that, you will figure out that this is a true 8 ohms driver. And today, in the selection of loudspeakers that you are getting, true 8 ohm drivers are becoming like a rarity. And I'm just so relieved that finally we are getting one of the big names in the loudspeaker industry coming back to proper impedance loudspeaker. That's just, I think that's something tremendous that deserves a medal by itself. And the second thing why he is doing something fantastic, he's going back to a 10-inch paper pulp cone. In a world where we see the bass drivers shrinking from 8 inches to 6.5, and we're seeing like even smaller, like 6-inch, 5.5-inch, and ever shrinking diameters, and he is pumping it back to 10-inch. And why is that important? Because you see, when we look at this things, like for example, look, here I found Buchart S400 MK2, and they say it goes down to 33 hertz. Wow! And what is the 6-inch woofer? Oh, so if a 6-inch woofer can go to 33 hertz, why on earth would I need a bigger diameter driver? And there's one thing that the industry says, that because you are getting a clearer image, because the smaller driver gives you a better focus, right? And there is truth in that. You will be getting a crisper image. But what the industry doesn't tell you, that nowadays, at the state where the loudspeakers are, their crispness is already artificially boosted, artificially too high and beyond the normal levels. And where this 6-inch and smaller bass will show up as a problem child is mid bass. So even though you are getting, when you measure the level of the mid bass, it's still there because they EQ it. Where it is, I think they show somewhere the Buchart crossover. Just look at that. For the Buchart, that's the crossover, and you see like a two-way speaker, and oh my god, what is there? Actually, the good thing, it has very high quality parts. I think it looks like, that one looks like a Miflex capacitor, and I think those look like Jupiter capacitors. So extremely high quality capacitors there. Look, air core inductor, another air core inductor, but how many of them? Yeah, are we going to space or what's happening? They overcomplicate the crap out of the crossover to try to force out through electronic means EQing mid bass and bass out of it. And yeah, you will get the level out of it. You will get the pressure, the pumping, but that's not how a double bass works, not how a cello makes the sound, not how a piano sound. So you will get the bass level out of instruments that you are reproducing, but you will not have the body of a piano, body of a cello. It will sound something really, really artificial, very catchy, but a very mechanized sound. And you need to really alter the sound in the electric domain, because the small driver cone, the small woofer cone, has issues reproducing a mid bass. And what I have found is that when you have a problem, then correct the problem in the same domain where the problem occurs. So if it's an acoustic problem, correct it in the acoustic domain, and that's when you have the least side effects. So when you have this acoustic problem and you try to correct it in the electric domain, like here through the crossover, to a certain degree it works. When you measure with a mic, the EQ, the flat frequency response, will be there, and you can publish it, and you get claps, and Kintaro says, maybe he doesn't say, but when you hear it, it will introduce a whole slew of problems that's not apparent from just the EQing and just the SPL metering. And I am not the only one saying this. Monsieur Jean Hiraga, he contacted me and we started emailing, and those are his observations as well, that if you try to overcorrect the sound in the electric domain through crossover, correct acoustic problems that were not caused in the electric, by the electric part of the system, then you are asking for compromises that you were not expecting before. So I just mentioned that it's not just me farting this out to you, but there are some serious people who have credentials, who also know about these things happening. And so I'm not trying to say anything wrong about the Buchart loudspeaker, because it's doing something totally marvelous for a loudspeaker that has virtually no free air volume at all. So trying to reproduce bass with that, Godspeed for that. And here they have done a miracle to reproduce bass. Although they say 88 dB sensitivity, I think that value with 33 hertz, that's never, that's not physics, laws of physics does not allow that. I think that 88 dB is not per watt, it's per 2.83 volt per meter, and this is 4 ohms impedance, so it means you can take off 3 ohms, 3 dBs out of that value. So it's most likely an 85 dB per watt meter sensitive speaker, but even then I find these claims a little bit exaggerated. So I think maybe 33 hertz is at minus 6 dB. At minus 3, it's a really exaggeration from this size. Um, but going back to the MoFi speaker, and I emphasize that 33 hertz because MoFi, this has like this is vastly bigger. This is like 5 times greater inner volume, free air volume than that Buchart, and it is rated on paper as 42 hertz. Yet based on the laws of physics, this is capable of playing so much deeper than the Buchart. So there is something fishy going on that is not obvious from the numbers alone. Because when you read on paper, then the Buchart should have like tremendously better bass response than the MoFi SourcePoint 10, but when you listen to them, my suspicion would be that the 10 would have so much more natural bass response that it should be night and day, the difference between them. So when you just look at numbers alone, they can be extremely misleading. And in this case, I can predict and foretell that these speakers have really nice mid bass, and that's because of the 10-inch cone. Because for a nice mid bass, you really need like as big cone as possible, and I think that is one of the second secret of this loudspeaker, the large cone, and it's a paper cone. So when it's a paper cone, paper woofer, they have the most natural sound. So that's the material that will give you the least artifice, the least fakery. They will not give you artificially expanded detail level, but they will not give you the creeps either. So after you've been living for years with those artificially boosted detail levels from really over specialized cones, you will either start to recognize that something fishy is going on. This doesn't sound like real live music. Or maybe you'll just get addicted so much to it that when you hear live music, this doesn't sound as good as my speakers. No, it's the other way around. Your speakers are doing something to the sound that creates these artificial contrasts that there are not in the live music. And what else is the secret? And I think when I was looking through the loudspeaker design, the really big secret of this is truly the driver itself, because Andrew Jones has designed the driver, and he goes on a lot about explaining it and detailing it. Do I see it? There's so there's a blow up of the composition of the driver. So this is the outermost layer, and that's a surround, and it's a multi-roll surround, and it's the material is similar to the cone of the paper. So it is I think it's also like a fabric pulp or something like that. I have to look into it. Maybe I'm a little off, but it's not a plastic surround, and it's not that dome surround, but it's that the ribbed. Can you see that the ribbed surrounds? It has this the plie, and that has the least issues that creates the least phase problems with the sound. That gives the most natural sounding response of any surround type. So he has done the best choice for surround for the driver. He has also done the best choice for the cone of the driver, the pulp, paper pulp, which gives the most natural sound. So now we start to see that he has a there is a tendency here to make this speaker sound natural and not artificial. And then what is happening, that there is a 1.25-inch soft dome tweeter. So this is not a single driver, but it's a coaxial dual driver. So it means that the two have the same center, and it's the Tannoy design. Basically, Tannoy has invented this type of loudspeaker system, and that there is a tweeter inside the woofer, and the woofer acts as a waveguide, as a horn for the tweeter. And here Andrew Jones explains that the woofer itself is giving a 10 dB boost for the tweeter. And the same thing is happening when you look at the Klipsch RP600, that the tweeter has that waveguide in front, which is another way of saying horn. But some people are freaked out from the word horn, like, oh my god, I hate horns. But waveguides are okay, same thing. So the purpose of this horn slash waveguide is that the tweeter has to work 10 times less. So when you add 10 dB to the efficiency of the tweeter here, it means that when you are pumping 30 watts to the woofer cone, to have the same SPL, the tweeter in the middle is working with 3 watts, 10 times less power. And why is that important? Because then it will have 10 times the headroom compared to a standalone tweeter that's working without the help of that waveguide. And that makes the difference, the really big difference. That's why it is non-fatiguing, because it will reach the level of fatigue 10 dB later, because there's the cone giving it a 10 dB boost. So that's another big thing, that the highs are getting this lift from the cone. Tannoy is doing the same thing. Fine Audio is doing the same thing. By the way, the Fine Audio engineers are Tannoy's engineers, but Tannoy went to China. You know, there's a saying, only Nixon could go to China, but not anymore. Tannoy could also go to China, and they fired all those engineers who created their name. So now it's just become a non-existent company anymore that is carrying the legacy of these people whom it was really just lost the spine to really support those people who created their name. So those people went over and created Fine Audio. And so those of you who want the Tannoy sound, I think for those of you, you should now look for Fine Audio, because Tannoy, so you are not supporting those minds that created those speakers anymore. You are supporting money of industrialists who don't care about the people they employ. They just care about making the fastest profit on the corner. And yeah. So anyway, Andrew Jones is also thinking along that way, but that's not a new thought from him. He was doing concentric drivers for a long time, so he's not a new kid on the block. He's very, very knowledgeable about it. And when you look at the design of this driver, he shows, where does he show? He shows somewhere there's a diagram that the two magnets in this structure are magnetically coupled, and basically they strengthen each other. So the magnetic field of the woofer helps the magnetic field of the tweeter to be stronger. So the creation of this driver, that is the heart of this loudspeaker, is one really big thing. So I would say that's, I think, about 80% of the success of this loudspeaker, the driver itself. And when you look at it, this is just a blown up version. How it is like, as you see, there's the cone coming, and then there's the surround, and it's completely flat, and it's mating the surface, the front baffle in a very seamless way. That's a gigantic, huge issue. And I've been just, just yabba in my channel for dozens of videos of how important this is. And I haven't seen, I don't say I haven't seen any loudspeaker manufacturers do this, but the number of them is just so few. But it's such a gigantic issue. And instead of doing it the right way that Andrew Jones is doing it, most people go like the way like Buchard is going, is to just fix it in the electric domain and so on. But let me just go back to Buchard and see. But at least Buchard folks, they are also mounting the driver in the plane of the front baffle. So it was the wrong example. I mean, it's the right example because they also know about that. But when I look at it, the surround still sticks out in front of the plane, creating phase problems. But still, they are ahead of the game, and that's why this loudspeaker gets so favorable reviews, because the driver is mounted flush with the panel and it's not, at least the basket is not sticking out. So going back here to the MoFi, so what we have here is a seamless integration of basically the driver cone to the front of the baffle, and that integrates really nicely into the room by just receding at a really nice rate. So he's done a tremendously good job on how to integrate the driver to the room, and that's another big secret. And I'm pushing, which is 27 minutes already. And I haven't even gotten to that part that we go into the inside and look at the double ports, because the double port thingy was that inspired me to have a look at these speakers. But we are going to have a look at the inside of the cabinet and the cabinet material choices and the crossover in the next episode. So thank you, Optimize, for guiding me towards exploring this loudspeaker. And this was sharing my ideas, part one. Please like, subscribe, and bye bye.